the Wrestling Mark, and it's appearing CM Punk may be developing an enemy in high places like the rebellious superstars of old. Punk had to defend the WWE Championship on Raw against Alberto Del Rio, with John Lauranitis adding the stipulation that Punk would lose the title if disqualified. Del Rio tried to use that to his advantage, throwing a chair to Punk to try and draw the referee's attention, only to have Punk throw it back and try one of Eddie Guerrero's old tricks. But ultimately, it was a turnbuckle that Del Rio himself exposed earlier that proved to be his undoing, as while Ricardo Rodriguez distracted the ref, Punk threw Del Rio into that turnbuckle before rolling him up for the win. It remains to be seen exactly what condition John Morrison is in following his brutal Falls Count Anywhere match against The Miz. Miz barely let the match get started when he began assaulting Morrison's leg with a steel pipe, but Morrison refused to back away and even went after Miz with a cane at one point. But the man who put R-Truth out of action last week got Morrison back onto the stage and put him out for good with the same skull-crushing finale on the stage. The referee wouldn't even let Miz go for a cover, calling for the bell prematurely. Miz appears to be on a mission to try and take down everyone in WWE that, in his mind, has been holding him back. After Morrison was carried off, John Lauranitis said in an exclusive WWE.com interview suggested the time off Morrison will likely need might be a blessing in disguise to help him clear his head, and he wished Morrison a speedy recovery. Randy Orton looked to have Dolph Ziggler beat when Ziggler appeared to be leaving the ring. However, it all appeared to be a setup as Wade Barrett, who was at ringside, drew Orton's attention enough for Ziggler to sneak up from behind and get him with the zigzag. But Vicky Guerrero still can't seem to have both clients win on the same day, as Jack Swagger couldn't finish off Zack Ryder. Swagger had Ryder down, but Ryder tripped up one attempt at the Swagger bomb and then got his feet up to block a second attempt, turning it into a chance for the Rough Rider to get the win. Daniel Bryan gave an answer for why he tried to cash in Money in the Bank last week on SmackDown, even though he announced long ago he was going to wait for WrestleMania. Bryan said Mark Henry's attempts to enter him into his Hall of Pain have caused him to change his mind and become champion as soon as possible. Bryan will now face Henry for the World Heavyweight Championship inside a steel cage on a live SmackDown tonight, and it appears Henry is still suffering from an injured leg, especially after Bryan hit him in that leg last night. In today's Mark My Words, I may as well bring up the issues that Roddy Piper brought up with John Cena. I know that for one reason or another, there are people out there that just don't like Cena. The crowd that once roared in unison for Hulk Hogan has become more jaded and split towards that type of all-American personality. Heck, I could think of people in some other sports that are hated for the same reason. Yeah, Cena's right up there with Tim Tebow, and I know that everyone is expecting Cena to finally snap and lash out at those people just like The Rock did many years ago. Look, I greatly respect Piper, but anyone who thinks that Cena has to turn on the people to keep his game at the top doesn't really know what this man's about. Now look, we still have 4 months before we can prove whether or not I'm right, but mark my words on this. Just because Cena might not be willing to verbally go after his critics, it doesn't mean he's not using it for motivation and won't use it to his advantage come WrestleMania. I'm the Wrestling Mark.